What is the nicest thing you ever did for a stranger? Drunkenly paid for children's Christmas presents when this young couple's card kept being declined. I just imagine you being drunk in a Toys R Us. Ah, that's so nice of you. For your kindness I awarded you the least I could afford. Smiley face. Not me, but when I was a kid my father and I were standing in line and the lady in front of us with her children next to her seemed to be a single mom. Was not sure what to do. She was missing around $60 in order to pay for her food shopping. I think she may have had no money at all, but I don't remember right now. My father walked up to the cashier and paid for it. We were not rich, but were comfortable enough that we were still able to pay the bills that month. The lady was extremely thankful, asked for his name and promised she will pay him back one day. 2 years later my father gets a call from this lady. She says she's outside the house. She was able to make more money and is now able to pay it back. I will never forget this story. That there is good people on both sides of the story. Some random guy on Twitter was struggling through life and was hinting at suicide, so the past year I've been talking with them and making sure they are okay. He is doing better now. You probably helped save a life. Good on you, brother. I was at a supermarket in Venice where a very elderly French couple was shopping for cheese. They seemed to speak only French, while the store staff seemed to speak only Italian or English, so they weren't able to help the couple find most of what they were looking for. I noticed that they had issues with mobility and moving their cart around. So I cobbled together the little French I know to find out what they needed and brought them their items. I was suddenly very glad that my French lessons included large chapters on supermarket vocabulary. Lol. The couple was really happy, profusely grateful and appreciative, and helping them ended up making my day too. Gave some gold. What a nice person you are. And again, damn commitment. I would probably give platinum if I wasn't so poor. Today I was walking to the post office with my 2-year-old son and he picked a flower and gave it to this lady that looked like she probably needed it. He's doing nicer things than me basically. Waited overnight with a homeless person till the store opened so I could buy him food. That's beautiful. This woman pulled up at my bus stop, got out of her car and frantically waved me down 'cause I was the only one there, and pleaded for me to get the big spider out of her car. I'm presuming she was a massive arachnophobe, and I did, but it took quite a bit of time. About 7 minutes. So I missed my bus 'cause I watched it drive past this man. I had to walk about 4 miles to the bus stop, which was annoying 'cause I had finished a full day in the workshop doing electrical work on my knees, so they were in a lot of pain, and I was wearing steel toe caps for the walk. TLDR, I missed my bus to get a spider out of a woman's car and had to walk 4 miles because of it. That's actually really nice, and I'm sure she appreciates it. I know I would, and I'd give you a ride at least part way to where you were going if I couldn't give you a ride the whole way. I saw a woman crying. I asked her if she was okay. She said yes. So I asked if there was anything I could do. She said she would like a hug. This is pre-pandemic, so I hugged her until she let go. I was in a car rental place at the LAX airport. They were running way behind. About 20 people were waiting for cars, and they had none and were just renting them as they became available. I was next in line. There was a young woman with 3 young children under the age of about 7. She was last in line and was going to have to spend hours at the car rental place with those crying kids. I was next in line, so I let her have my place in line, and I waited hours for her car. Saved by a stranger was her reaction as she thanked me. Working on pipelines, living in hotels, had a family living next to me, and the mom would stand by an overpass with a sign to ask for money. Left for work one morning and the family, wife and husband and 2 kids around 14 and 12, were sitting on the curb with 2 dogs and luggage. Did a 12 hours shift, and when I came back they were still sitting there getting rained on. went to the front desk and asked what their deal was, and they didn't have money to pay for the room, monsieur, so I paid for a week and went to give them the keys to the room, monsieur, ordered pizza, and had dinner with them and told them about my time in Manitou Springs, Colorado, and just had a nice time with them, monsieur. This was in Huntsville, TX. Fast forward 2 years and I was visiting Manitou Springs and stopped at a gas station for smokes and got a tap on my shoulder. It was the husband. They somehow moved to Manitou and got jobs and established. Had dinner at their house and they looked much better and happy. Very tearful and thank you, and I never felt better before or since. She dropped her wallet. I picked it up saying, "Hey, you dropped this," because I couldn't think of anything witty. She then took it, thanked me, gave me a kiss on the cheek, and here we are 7 years later. She's now my fiancé. That was her plan all along. She was stalking you for years, and then executed her perfect plan. The stranger was a cat. I found a kitten on the side of the road with a broken, infected back leg. The poor guy was so sweet and hungry and cold. His leg smelled so bad, but I put him on my lap and drove him to my vet immediately. They got him stable and then removed the leg a few days later. The thing is, I knew I couldn't keep him because my cat hates other cats. It also wasn't a good time to be adding a new pet. So I paid for his treatment at the local shelter, found him a loving home. I still sometimes cringe a bit at how much I spent, but I'd had a good year financially. It was an emergency and he needed help. I was happy to help. Hi, monsieur. It's been almost 2 years and I still think about hi, monsieur. Donated a kidney 2 years ago to a 10-year-old boy who is on dialysis, end-stage renal disease. Threads over. Everyone needs to stop and go home. I was at an NFL game in December and it was freezing. I was in line for a hot chocolate, which I knew would be watery and terrible, because I just wanted something to help me warm up. It was a decently long line and at the register in small letters was cash only. Well, the poor woman in front of me hadn't noticed and stood there for probably 10 minutes, only to be told she couldn't use her debit card. So I bought my hot chocolate and the ones for her and whoever she was at the game with. Felt nice to help someone else avoid being so cold temporarily. Greater than which I knew would be watery and terrible. Are you talking about all hot chocolate or the hot chocolate they serve there? Because hot chocolate is nice. Referring to the stadium hot chocolate. I love a real hot chocolate. I helped an older lady in a New York airport. She was sitting in the main concourse in tears, looking bewildered. As I once noted, she had never been in an airport and was confused because she was hard of hearing and unsure where to go and what to do. The incessant announcements over the loudspeakers just added to her frustration. So I escorted her through security and to the gate so she could attend a family funeral on the West Coast. When I explained to the flight staff that she couldn't hear well and needed special care, they were more than happy to come to her aid. I gave them a car. I was making about $7 an hour after I got out of the military and going to school on the GI Bill. I was at the VA for some paperwork. Go figure. And there was a vet who was down on his luck talking to his wife about how they were going to get the kids to the doctor and other things when their only car crapped out. I had a 1984 Cavalier and a 1983 GM CS15. Both crappy but ran. I happened to drive the Cavalier that day, and I know it's not smart to keep your title in your vehicles, but I live in BFE so I am not too worried. Anyways, I went to the car, filled out the title, I introduced myself and explained I am giving them this car, no strings attached. It took a good 20 minutes to convince him to take it, but in the end this man, who seemed tough as nails, cried like crazy. I took a cab home and the rest is history. I was buying a coffee from one of those Costa coffee machines in a shop. You get the cup of coffee from the machine and pay at the counter. Everything is the same price, no matter if you get black coffee, latte, hot chocolate, etc. There was a paramedic waiting to use the machine after me, so when I went to pay I paid for hers as well. I was using the ATM outside the store and she saw me when she came out and said thanks. She was so grateful and said it's the nicest thing anyone had done for her. These people are literally lifesavers. I have also been taken to hospital by ambulance when my kidneys failed, so the least I could do was get her £2.50 coffee. I saw them on the street with their dog. I gave them a £30 bag of dog food, a bag of toys, treats, and a doggy jacket with a new leash. I work at an animal shelter and sometimes just want to help someone out. Slid off the road in the middle of nowhere. Closest town, probably 15 to 20 miles away. Nice lady stops. Tell her I've called my insurance and a tow truck is on the way. 2 feet of snow bullshit. And she drives off. Anywho, about half an hour later the lady comes back with a bag full of Taco Bell. Tremendous. I was in the Mejia checkout lane and a little girl next to me dropped her shoe. I think she was holding it IDK. She was starting to get upset, I think, and her dad didn't notice, so I picked it up and gave it to her. She calmed down and my mom and I went out to the car. I told mom what happened but only said something like, "So mom, I helped a kid today," or something like that. IDK. It was my first day at school. An upper grade, like 3 years older, cornered and yelled at an unknown girl. As an innocent kid, I offered her a tissue once the big fatso went back to class. Later, she reported the blame on me and I had to stay at the corner as punishment. I tried to defend, but she was the daughter of the sport teacher. The type that anyone believes. I never did a thing to avenge. Stop trying to be nice, nor I was traumatized by the experience. But I questioned the motives of humanity behind such act. Now, I consider every person I meet as a challenge and try to elaborate an escape route from every person I meet. Same. But it gets better as you get better with social cues and learning patterns. People can be really wonderful when you know what to do. Some are just lost cases. Hope you have a great week, brudda. And you can avoid challenging people. A kid in my physics class disappeared the week before finals. Just fell off the face of the earth. I knew he had suffered with severe depression for a while and grew worried. I did not know him that well, but there were kids in the class that were allegedly his friends in. Not one of them checked up on "Hi monsieur." I got his number and called. Left a voicemail and didn't hear back. Fearing the worst, I contacted the school's police department and they did a wellness check. The kid had spiraled into such a deep state he hadn't come out of his room in days, yet somehow his parents did not even realize he was breaking down. The wellness check snapped him out of his funk and he got treatment and came back to class in time to nail the final. He was an absolutely brilliant guy and I am so glad he was able to finish the class and not take a failure because of depression. I also hope it was a wake-up call that his friends were in fact pieces of shit. He approached me after class one day to thank me, and to this day it's the thing I'm most proud of. I hope you are doing well, Robert. Depression can fuck right off. A guy didn't have enough money on his food stamp card, so he was putting stuff back. Without a second thought, I just paid it. Not killed them. This kid was in the chicken shop. In London we have loads of shops that sell fried chicken and fries, chips just all over the place. For some reason. And he wanted to buy like 4 chicken wings but he didn't have enough money. He was like 30p short. I felt bad for him, watching him count out his change. He was in a scruffy school uniform, monsieur, probably around 12 years old. I felt for the kid. I remember being that kid. My mum would give me £1 a day to get breakfast or lunch. It was rough. I ask how much he needs. He tells me. I think I give him a £1. He takes it, gets his food, and leaves. Doesn't even thank me. Like it doesn't even register to him that a stranger just did him a kindness. At first I was like, what the fuck? Where's my, well gee thanks mister? Quote. Then I thought about it more. And I laughed. He's young. Maybe he just doesn't understand how rare simple kindness can be. When I was his age I might have done the same. Thank you so much for watching and have a good day.